Good evening and welcome to Adafruit Show and Tell. I'm Liz. I'm going to be your host this evening. If you'd like to join the stream, you can access the link in our Discord chat on the live broadcast chat channel, and that's at Adafruit.it/Discord. So first we're going to hear from folks from Adafruit and then hear from some folks in the community. And we're going to start off with Noe and Pedro.
Hey, hello everybody.
How's it going?
We're doing all right. So yeah, this week's 3D printed project is our little snowflake. So we designed a little holder for the LED noodles, and I designed the back cover to kind of secure the coin cell. So it has a built-in on-off switch. I can quickly turn it on. There we go.
Sweet.
So they're for the LED noodles. We got to cut two different colors, the yellow and warm white. It's so bright that it's kind of blowing out the camera, but it makes a nice light. So this makes a good like kind of ornament or something you could put on the wall or other decors. But it was fun to kind of come up with a shape that uses for the noodles. And then because it's a snowflake, the center hexagon, that's where I actually have the wiring kind of hiding, and it's behind the battery. I'm not going to take it apart, but I also added a JST cable so that you can swap it out. So there's the JST cable, so you can always swap it out and put in a different battery, or like wire in a USB cable so you can have it wall powered. So that'd be nice.
Very cool.
But yeah, just a kind of a quick kind of 3D printed noodle sign. We got a bunch of neon signs. We've been doing that a lot this year, and yeah, that's this week's project. We got a learn guide up so folks can build it and wire it up and 3D print the bits.
Oh, don't forget to plug the layer by layer on.
Yeah, if folks want to use Fusion 360 to design with these, we have a little tutorial on how you can make different shapes.
Yeah, get some nice fittings in that.
Yeah,
and then a sneak peek of what we were working on. Took apart an iBook, and we put an iPad in it to do some like retro like case. This is definitely something that Brandy wanted, so I was like, oh no, I got to work on a thing, because anytime your kid or your spouse wants to work on a project, you kind of got to do it. So yeah, this one's been blown up on like the socials, everybody making like a cool like a case for these, so it's pretty cool. Tune into 3D Hangouts that happened early in the morning. You can see how I set up the keyboard for it. And the cool thing about it is you don't have to 3D print like I see the way that most people do it. They like completely print the entire like a lot of the body to get the like the keyboard and stuff like that to fit.
Yeah,
we could not find one that would fit in there, but the one that we have in the shop fits perfectly. So using like the magnetic right angle dongle for the USB-C, converting it to the regular USB-A's, making everything work perfectly. So yeah, we'll release that next week.
Very cool. I'm impressed at how perfectly the iPad fits in there.
I didn't think it would work.
Good. The proportions are perfect.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, honey. And then she orders it, and the next thing I know, she's taking it apart, gutting it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this.
That's one way to get your.
All right.
Maybe that was Apple's plan all along. Maybe they've actually been really good at recycling this whole time.
Yeah, and they're pretty cheap. I think it was like $100 for like it might have worked. I don't know. Maybe you can get it back up and working, but just for the case and stuff itself, it's a pretty good price, I think, right?
Yeah. Very cool. Well, looking forward to seeing that, and that snowflake is very nice as well.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yay!
It's a good tree topper too.
It could be.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Next, we're going to go to Jeff.
Good evening.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. We've been talking about it for a long time and teasing it, but the next keyboard converter is finally here. So this is one of those classic 90s computer keyboards. Interesting thing about it, it's got this plastic gasket that goes all the way around, and the same styling is on the mouse. And I don't know if that's a useful thing or is just how they styled it. But anyway, about 10 years ago, Lamore wrote a guide with Arduino. And I'm like, now we have CircuitPython and QtPy.
Excellent.
So QtPy RP2040 here in a 3D printed enclosure. Cool. And the code is in a guide and some discussion and background. And yeah, so just continuing with the keyboard projects. And I was really excited to get to do this on literally Lamore's next keyboard. So she entrusted that with me for for the time being.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and so if you want to come back around to me in a little bit, I've got another funny thing to show you.
All right, sure. And we'll be sure to have folks check out your new guide on that keyboard.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks, Jeff. So next we're going to go to Scott. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Liz. Thanks for hosting.
Thanks for coming.
And thanks for having me. So I've been working on this weird thing. I think it's pretty weird.
Okay.
So MicroDev is a community member, and they added a coprocessor support. So on the ESP32S2 and S3, the S3 has two main processors, and the S2 has one. But they also they have another one that's an ultra low power processor that is there to be able to do like very basic things for you without turning everything on.
Okay.
And MicroDev added support for this. I wanted to kind of rework the API for it, and now I had to figure out how to test it.
Okay.
And this idea of having some helper code on another processor with CircuitPython has like been kicking around in my brain for a while. I think I showed, like, I developed these STEMMA QT boards here.
Oh yeah.
That have Cortex M0 pluses, the STM32G0s on them. So this is another thing I've been thinking about, where you have some code running on another processor that CircuitPython is working with, and similar to the ULP on the ESP chip. So if you could pull up my screen.
Yes.
So this is the complicated part.
Okay.
This is the complicated part. So this is C code that is what runs on the coprocessor.
Okay.
And the cool bits, you can ignore all of this stuff. This is like writing registers directly or setting me up to do that. But one thing that's cool is you have variables here that are globals in C. And there's two different kinds. There's these ones where they're not volatile, and then there's these two that are volatile. And volatile is a hint to the C compiler that says, like, hey, like, if you load this from memory, don't, like, make sure you load it every time you use it rather than storing it in like a CPU register.
Okay.
And you need that in case something else changes its value. And so in the case here, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the C code and I'm packaging it into Python. So if we look at my Python here, you can kind of ignore this. This is to read and write memory.
Okay.
But now what you can see here is in Blink, our class, we have two attributes. So these would be like function or object dot setting, object dot count. And these are the things that are volatile in C. So this is accessing that same memory that the C program is accessing, but from Python.
Wow.
So you'd be able to like dynamically read or change what the program is doing while your Python's running as well. And then that third one that is not marked volatile is here as a parameter into the class when you construct it. So what this class is actually doing is it's controlling the ULP. It's constructing a version of the program. So these are the bytes of the compiled program. But then it patches it. So it's patching that third number, the pin number, into the program before it's copied over to the CPU, the other CPU, and run. The idea being that you could pick a different pin that you want to blink on without having to do a full compilation of C code. Which is, I know, it's complicated, but the goal is that the goal is from the outside, which we're looking on the inside here. From the outside, you'd be able to say, I want to blink on the ULP, and I want to blink on this pin, and then you could also set like how fast you want to blink or whatever, and treat it as if it's like this Python object that works a little weird under the hood. So I'm playing around with that. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually work. Otherwise, I would show a demo. I'm trying to figure it out. It's actually like very hard to debug. I can't tell like what, like with a normal microcontroller, you can say like, hey, what's your program counter? Where are you at?
Right.
And there's no way to do that with the ULP that I can tell.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's weird. But the pitch here is that you could do some like very simple logic in a low power processor to like complement CircuitPython.
That's very cool. Yeah.
And people always want to do multi-core multitasking stuff, and this is kind of that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm playing around with that, and hopefully we'll get it working tomorrow.
Cool. Awesome. I'm excited to see where this goes, and excited to try it out. What's out there.
Yeah, thank you. It's a weird one.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Liz.
Okay, next we're going to hear from some folks in the community. We are going to go with Flavio.
Hey, Liz. Can you
Hi,
hear me
how are
okay?
you?
Good.
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Good
So
to see you.
I just wanted to do a show and tell, join a show and tell to show you a cool project I did over this weekend.
Very
And it
cool.
was basically I had I had an RP2040, and then I connected to a Rio Ethernet, to get it over the network.
Oh, cool.
And the
Showing it
the
as your
reason the reason I needed it, so I show my screen because it's probably I have a bunch of pictures there, but I had an alarm, and then I retrofitted with a ring alarm, and I had these ports available, but the motion sensors didn't work on it. So
okay.
what I wanted to do is connect some little relays on it to pretend I'm opening and closing the doors,
Okay.
and that's what this little gizmo here drives. So I just took that RP2040, loaded CircuitPython, and I played a lot with the async IO, which is really
Oh, very cool.
great on
Yeah.
CircuitPython. Yeah, it works great. So I guess a little bit of in line with Scott's talking about multi-processing, of having multiple things running at the same time, even though they aren't really. Yeah. But
Right.
anyway, so this I the code is here, and then I guess I'll just show you real quick the part of it that I really enjoyed, which was the async IO. And with async IO, you just basically create those little subtasks, right? And
Mhm.
and it works seamlessly. It just works beautifully, and I can have it changing colors and do things. So the part that was kind of fun on it is that I started with my board, right? So I have some pictures in here, and I
Nice.
started with the board, and then I started soldering, which is normally what we don't do much these days anymore. But
Right.
it was so satisfying doing all this soldering, and of course, end up looking like a spaghetti at the end. But it all worked, And
That's great.
then a buddy of mine showed me this thing, which is kind of like, I don't know how it took me so long to figure out, the liquid electric tape, which basically allows you to
Oh,
seal, all
yeah.
the soldering and everything. So there's nothing exposed, and it's really as good as electric tape, except it's just super, looks like a little piece of rubber, like
Right.
all
Yeah.
the mess that I did is all gone.
That's great.
Yeah. And then, so it just looks like that. And these are the relays, and this is that. And then how I connected to the little ring box, uh, plug it in like that. And that, sure enough, he was happy to look at the new doors and everything, as if it was just connected to the real sensors that I had originally. And
That's
then I'm always inspired by Pedro, and and I 3D printed a little box for it. But
cool.
I'm not very good with Fusion 360. I use a thing called Onshape.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I guess some of you guys use that. So yeah, so that was really fun. And
That's
then
great.
I just used that, and I could just connect to it and 3D print it, and it came out great. Anyways, when I do little projects like this, I'm always thankful to you guys, because I'm able to pull this whole thing off within a weekend. We're just using CircuitPython and all the awesome libraries that you guys have to offer. And then, by the way, I controlled it using MQTT,
Oh,
which
nice.
also connects like super seamlessly with it. So anyways,
Oh, it's great. Well,
thank
it's
you.
it's
It
always
was really
good to
fun.
hear about like the tutorials helping folks to work on their own projects. So thanks for coming by, and feel free to drop any links in the chat too, so folks can get a closer look at your project.
Will do. All right. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next we are going to go to DJ Devin. Hello.
Hello, Liz. Hello, Fabio. Speaking of spaghetti, I have a whole bunch of nudes. This is the stuff
wow.
that goes into my Dragon Mask. Well, this is a demo circuit of what is in my Dragon Mask.
Okay.
And this is actually what was part of the Dragon. This is another demo. This is the original demo circuit of what went in the Dragon Mask, but it uses a proto board as ground. So I had a big issue trying to find enough grounds. It doesn't show it on this one, but on the actual Dragon Mask, every single ground is like cut in a tiny little area and then soldered and spliced all the way around one wire that goes to one ground.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you need a whole bunch of grounds, that becomes a problem, especially in an enclosed space. So what I came up with was a little PCB for the Cutie Pie that I'm calling the parent, because it grounds the BFFs. I don't know how well you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it. Very cool.
So every single one goes to ground on all the inside proto area isn't a proto area. These are all grounds.
All ground. Okay, very cool.
So let's see if I take apart. This is all modular. So this is the inside of what it looks like when you need a bunch of grounds. So these all go to ground, and then I've got the LiPo BFF, and all of this ensures that it's all in a tiny little footprint so that I have more room to breathe in a mask. That's basically what it comes down to.
Okay.
And for my major project that I've been working on for a while that a lot of people know about are my TR-Cowbells.
Very cool. Yeah.
This is a MIDI controller based on Toddbot's Pico Step sequencer. And basically, it's just a large linear macro pad. And I do have it lighting up in the sequences, and it should function. I don't have any of the music stuff working yet. And I was supposed to ship these out to a group of beta testers on Monday, and last minute did some more testing, found a big problem. The MCP chips, and also in the guide, it doesn't mention this. The MCP chips have to have either 3 grounds or have to have 3 positives, 3v3. Right. So that threw me for a loop because I treated it as a regular I2C and only soldered the 1 ground, which left these 2 floating. And I was getting all kinds of weird results because of it. It does not like that at all.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing that I found. And so finally show off my board. And this is the V2.
Very cool. Great art on there too.
Thank you. Totally stolen from the internet. Need more cowbell. So we have more cowbell. And my name in papyrus font for Phil T.
Excellent.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much, DJ Devin.
Well, thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Bye. Next, we are going to go to MakeItHackin.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. I'm going to present my screen.
Okay.
So let's see. Boom. Can you see it?
Yes. Let me add to the stream.
Okay. So we're going to get to the hardware later, but I am showing off a bot that I wrote for the DigiKey Digiwish. So what is going on here is, if you guys didn't know, DigiKey is doing a Digiwish contest during the month of December. And every day you can wish for a new product and they randomly pick someone. So I thought it would be fun to write a bot to do that. So this is today's wish. And if you're on Twitter still, if you want to go to this one and comment down below, what it does is people can comment down below and the bot will pick a random reply. It'll then search the DigiKey catalog for that, and then pick one that's, you know, so it has to be under $100 and it has to be in stock. So I'm going to demo that now, and hoping that the demo gods are with me. So here we go. It's running off a Pi Zero wireless. All right, so I'm going to run it. I'm going to run it. Let's see. I want to actually upload the tweet. So hit 1, and so it picked the Magic Smoke tweet. I don't think so. It kind of, if it doesn't find the first one, it'll go through the other tweets and find one. So this one actually, let's see. I'm gonna refresh my Twitter. Get my profile. See which one it picked. So this is the one it picked. It's actually an Adafruit product, so that's cool. So yeah, it picked the one. It links the tweet right here that it chose.
Very cool.
And yeah, so my plan for the future is to go on to get that onto like some microcontrollers. So I have my Pi Portal, I have a mag tag, and if people want to like comment in the Discord which one they think would be better, Funhouse and the Matrix Portal. I think I'm kind of leaning towards Pi Portal. I need to be able to save the image from DigiKey in order to upload it to Twitter. I can't just like link the hyperlink. I have to actually like download the file. So I don't know if all those are possible with all those devices, but yeah, so I might have that by next week, but if everyone wants to go, comment and see if they get chosen for tomorrow or whatever. I'd like to see what gets picked. So
very cool. And I think you should get a Digiwish just for building the spot.
That'd be cool.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming by. Bye. Next, we're going to go to Mark Gambler, and then we'll go back to Jeff to get a fun treat afterwards. So, hey, Mark, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. So I'm going to re-aim my camera again at the giant LED matrix I still have. So this is updating a project I worked on a couple years ago, but have now updated it for the new libraries that just came out for the core for the fast pixel mapping that Jeff and Tim both spent a lot of time working on.
Nice.
Yeah, so now I could take what I did a couple years ago. The tree animation doesn't really need the frames per second, but in a second, the giant scrolling text was not possible 2 years ago.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, and this is slowed down, as I think I demoed a couple weeks ago. It just flies by if it's not. Since I showed it last time, I added in some of the fading text. This hasn't been running long enough to really show, but this is, and then it's the Icicle demo that was originally done by Phil B in Arduino that I updated a couple years ago. I had about half the Icicles showing last time, and as they grew in length, the frame rate just dropped. Now I can run 15 strands, no problem. I tweaked the original code that the Icicles will grow over time as well and eventually break, like real Icicles.
Excellent.
Yeah. So after show and tell, next up is putting this in my window and getting ready to show it off.
That's great. I can remember, I think when you did the tree a couple years ago, it looks really awesome. Now nice and big and the animation going so smoothly. So it's been cool to see this grow over time.
Yeah, it just worked out that the right changes were done to speed everything up and make a lot more stuff possible.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Mark.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good night. And now we're going to go back to Jeff.
So I've been spending a lot of time playing with this website called ChatGPT from OpenAI. And people have a lot of different opinions about it. And I find that it's really great for playing with it and like making up sort of fiction, because it can make things that really look like, like real things, but it's entirely made up. So if you want to bring up my window, I thought, well, can it do Adafruit? And now I have to tab over to the same window. So, I asked it, are you familiar with the electronics company Adafruit? And it is. So I thought, can it get me fired from my job by doing a better job than I do?
I have to admit, earlier today, the thought did cross my mind, like, could you put in like a Learn Guide topic? So it's funny.
So that's exactly what I did. So I asked it to write a project to use a sensor to detect when a bird is present and release bird seed using a servo motor. So just informal poll, ask yourself, how do you think it did?
Based on what I've seen, there's probably some words that sounded correct and then the rest was nonsense.
So,
it even did that.
I mean, it just gives you the whole thing. Materials needed, tools, setting up the hardware, programming the trinket. So I didn't actually try this code, but this really looks like Arduino code to me, I'll tell you. And it tells you how to test it and suggest further improvements. We really like this one. Add a microphone to detect the bird song. That would be fun.
That would.
But then I realized, looking at this program, it's going to read the pin, and the first time the pin is high, it's going to open the seed dispenser. And so that's not going to work out. All the seed's just going to come out because there's no close.
Yeah.
But you can come back and you can ask it follow-up questions. And so I said, well, you need to close the door again. And it says, sure, here's how you do that. And I think this is right. This looks like good Arduino code to me. And it explains everything, what's going on. And then I realized, well, wait, it'll be open the whole time the bird is there. You want it to open and then let the bird eat, and the bird has to leave and come back. So I asked it to do that too. And it's like, here's how you do it. You use a static variable. It was like a whole C lesson. And I was just so astonished that it did this well.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I had to have a fair amount of knowledge to evaluate what I was seeing and say, oh, here's a problem. And it could maybe rewrite things to solve it, but it didn't recognize those problems itself.
Right.
And of course, I'm anthropomorphizing it even to a degree that's inaccurate. So then I said, well, I work on CircuitPython. So this was an Arduino project. Let's do the CircuitPython version. And, this kind of looks like Python, but this doesn't exist. This never existed. I researched it just in case it did. So it invented this. This never existed. This looks okay. Delay is not Python. Delay is Arduino. So on the whole, it didn't do as good a job at CircuitPython as it did at Arduino.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wouldn't recommend, if you are not experienced, this is going to give you code that it explains exactly why it should work, but it's going to be wrong.
So wrong. Yeah.
And the explanation is going to be wrong, and you're going to get tripped up.
Yeah.
But as an exercise for somebody who was more familiar, I thought this was a lot of fun, and I was super entertained. And I hope that all of you are entertained and not dismayed at the idea that computers are writing code like this.
Well,
and just use it responsibly, y'all.
Yeah, it's great power comes great responsibility. And I saw one artist who was talking about the whole thing, all the AI stuff that's come out, I feel like recently in the past couple of days, and they kind of referred to it as almost like the equivalent of like microwaved food. So, and basically like, if you're having a hot pocket every once in a while, like it's fine, but you shouldn't make a steady diet of it. So
yeah.
I thought that was a good analogy for it. So, entertaining, definitely.
Yeah, I need to still go and write some of my own code, because otherwise we won't actually get, the real stuff.
Fair.
But
fair.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Jeff. Thanks for showing that.
All right. You have a good night. Thanks for running this. It was fun.
Thanks for coming by. And that is going to do it for Show and Tell tonight, everybody. Thanks for showing your projects. In 2 minutes, John Park's going to be here with his John Park's Workshop. Have a good night, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.